Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
So back to if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Exactly, right? Let's do it. Okay. So, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's right. So in the second round, Piera Rodriguez was in the guard, or sitting in the guard, top position.
Right.
And she decided, let me headbutt this girl. Boom. She headbutts her. The referee gives her a warning. And then immediately
does it again
on purpose, right? So
Fucking audacity, man.
on purpose, right? And I believe she was winning the fight.
She was,
Yeah, she
from
was
what I
up.
saw in the
That's
article.
Very, very, very odd behavior, right?
Right.
So let's just get into that first, Max. We'll start with Max.
Yeah.
Just the headbutting should be allowed in MMA.
No. Yo, like I butt heads with people when I'm wrestling and everything, and when I'm grappling, and some of this shit, like this ain't way, right? Like it's bad when you, especially in a grounded position, you can hurt somebody so bad, right? Like some people's skulls feel like they got an iron plate implanted or something,
Yeah,
you know.
like,
And
I've got a hard head. I'm usually on the better side of those exchanges.
Yeah.
And they still fucking hurt me.
yeah, I mean,
Islanders have probably the hardest heads. Biggest too, right?
They do.
You know, Asians are close.
Yeah.
Asians got some big heads on them.
Yeah, it's funny. Genetically, I've got hard shins too, just from being Thai, and I haven't really done much Muay Thai. It's great.
fuck you.
Genetic advantages.
Yeah, it's like I block Max's like foot sweep or something. It's like, ow.
I'm like, and I have conditioned shins. Why'd that hurt me?
Oh, that's great.
But headbutts were illegal at one point.
Yeah, I mean,
in MMA.
I mean, at one point, wasn't there like that one instance where the dude was like
Punching
sitting
balls.
Yeah, sitting in reverse mount, punching the dude in the in the dick.
He's like, boo,
Just 12 to 6 England.
Man,
Just imagine if that was going on now.
Oh my god.
Like those two moves are legal now. Headbutts and nut shots.
Oh man.
How many dudes would be kicking them right in the nuts, dude? Imagine, like, there would be no leg kick.
what's a calf kick?
No,
I'm going for the nuts
Yeah,
kick.
you fucking- imagine how many exploded ball sacks finishes there would be.
Oh, dude.
So many, right?
Oh my god! You ever play those video games where like it's usually like American football ones where they show like the rib break or they'll show like the testicle like explode or whatever. And they do that in the UFC.
What is that, the History Channel? You know, they used to do the warrior thing. Where they showed like techniques of like martial arts.
Oh,
It was,
yeah,
like,
I
a
remember
pretty cool
those.
show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then they would get like real graphic, right?
Yeah.
Like, this punch lands and then he showed the skull. It's like an animation.
Right.
And it shows
Like the
break.
cracking of the
But they show
skull.
the nut sack.
So
With your fucking with your dick exploding and shit. It's just like they zoom, like you do the fucking
Yeah.
leg kick just straight down the middle, boom, and it just like zooms in, zzz, and it's just like
There's pop. Yeah.
I don't know. We're talking nonsense now. But going back to Rodriguez,
Yeah.
you know, she was DQ'd for the loss, and then in the aftermath, Rodriguez, the one that was doing the headbutting, she talked shit. She was talking shit. Like it was very like calling her a coward and for not continuing to fight and
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, like you should just like you should continue to fight and not milk this like DQ victory or whatever." It's like
Didn't
you
she
did it
have,
twice
like-
on purpose?
yeah, and didn't she have like proper injuries because of it? It's not like, you know, they went and they scanned her head and it's like, oh, you only have a black eye. Like she had some proper damage from those headbutts.
Yeah.
Like
Right. It's silly. Like we've run into this in like I've seen it in wrestling before where like the criteria for an illegal slam, like especially at the high school level back when I competed, this happened once at the national championships. It was like kind of crazy. So if you return somebody to the mat, the criteria for the illegal slam is if your legs leave the floor and your opponent lands first. In theory, you can consider that an illegal slam, and that happened to somebody and they landed on their head. Then they took the injury time ran out, and the person was like, no, I can't continue. So he actually won by disqualification. and his opponent was like the number 1 or the number 2 seed. But then there have been instances of that exact moment. And then the next match, the person's competing again because they just milked the DQ victory or whatever, right? So like the opposite of that does happen. I don't think in this case that's what actually went down. But I think that's what she was trying to argue for, like,
Yeah, I mean,
for the wrong.
we've seen people milk injuries, right? Like,
Yeah,
Koscheck was famous for it. He was famous for like acting like he like took an illegal knee, and then they go and they do the replay, and the knee's like over here, and he's like, oh, or whatever, you know, like,
Right.
But then when you go and you take the fighter and they've taken their time and they're still not able to fight, right? And then you take them to the hospital and there's damage.
Right.
Don't you dare call them a coward. You were the one that like that did the illegal strike. Like, fuck you.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It drives me like the fucking audacity.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, it says she had a fractured nose. Well, she claimed to have a fractured nose, a cheekbone injury, and a formation of a blood clot. In
Yeah, I
the
mean, like
sinus
this
region.
one sounds legit just based on that alone.
yeah.
Right.
Well, you're the one who did the illegal shots.
Yeah.
right.
Like you have no position. And this is what she wrote. She wrote, I'd rather lose a fight because of a mistake I did than go home calling myself a winner knowing I am a coward. I made a big mistake, maybe because of adrenaline, but you have to go to sleep with that lie in your head your entire life. It's like, is the adrenaline still going for her? I think that's what's happening. I don't know. Like, what is her coaches saying to her? Like,
Yeah, I think that was the wrong take.
it is
Yeah.
very, very like, you know, like she's a young fighter, and this is something that, you know, you don't want to be part of your name. It's
That's
like,
and it's attached,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like if they don't have anything else to remember you by now, they remember you as like, oh, that's the girl that headbutted this other person.
And then
got
complained because
DQ'd. Yeah.
It's like the girl that shit in her pants
Oh, wow.
during the UFC fight, right? And then she's now known for that.
yeah.
You know? She's like the only one. They have photos of her doo-doo on the canvas.
Oh,
like
reputation's a
in the
brutal
UFC,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
And yeah, but like her, you know, she's young. I think eventually she'll get another fight. And you know what's shitty about this situation is people are not gonna even remember this. Nah, they're just gonna be like, you know, a couple weeks from now, they'll be like,
Drowned out in the other headlines.
yeah, exactly, because
Yeah.
they're just up and comers.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if this happened in a title fight, it would just be
Oh, man.
outrageous.
Oh,
yeah,
we
then
wouldn't-
people would be
we would-
making memes and stuff about it.
And we
yeah.
wouldn't stop hearing about it, honestly. Like,
Yeah, we wouldn't stop. Because a couple weeks back, right, Jack Shore, he came back and he fought Joe Anderson Brito in Brazil. Remember the pay-per-view? And they stopped his fight because he had a cut on his leg, and they was like, oh, his leg's broken. So they stopped the fight.
And then they looked later at
Yeah.
that cut, and it was like it was tiny. Actually, it was just bleeding a lot.
yeah, and the leg wasn't broken. Like
No,
they got
it-
X-rays.
it
and
was
they're like-
barely-
yeah.
Damn.
Injured.
Yeah, so you get situations like that too, where you know, like it goes too extreme. Like,
Right,
yeah, the dude's bleeding, but you know, and he was kicked a lot in his leg.
Yeah.
But you can't just make a medical examination.
Right.
Well, the doctor can, right? So you got to blame the doctor, man. The doctor didn't know that, you
Yeah.
know. But you know what? At the same time, it's like the doctor's really looking out for the health of the fighter because he doesn't give a fuck who wins.
Yeah.
True.
You know what I mean? He probably doesn't even know who the fuck the fighters are.
Yeah.
He's just there, like, unless he's like the UFC doctor. But most doctors in foreign countries, they
Right.
probably don't even pay attention to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, they're just like, damn, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
You'd be
Let's get to
surprised,
work.
like, how many people don't even fucking watch fighting at all.
Oh,
True.
Like, you just
100%.
yeah.
Right.
I actually kind of like talking to people that don't watch fighting because then you can just talk.
Yeah,
about
it's
other
refreshing.
stuff.
Yeah, you talk about different
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this, yeah, it's a real bad look for Rodriguez. I've interviewed Rodriguez before. Carnelossi, not so much, but Carnelossi was out for like a long time before this fight because like there's all these speculations of her being on PEDs. Because if you look at her, she's fucking jacked. Like she's big. But Rodriguez did really well against her, man. I hope she, you know, I just wish that she didn't respond and just let it just kind of
Yeah.
simmer out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I think if she just sometimes being quiet is the best thing.
oh, it is. It is. It is. It is the best thing because in this situation, you are in the bad. Like you're the one that was doing illegal moves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, just own up to it, and of course, when you fight again, they're gonna bring it up, but don't bring it up until they want to bring it up. I think that's something that fighters should probably keep in mind, and calling somebody a coward for not continuing because you did a legal move. It's like, let's say I fucking punched you in the nuts and you didn't, like, I directly punched you in the nuts, like,
Ooh.
like straight up, like uppercut in the nuts.
Ow.
Right? And then like it was like purposely I was trying to punch you uppercut in the nuts,
Yeah.
right? Like I called it. Like basically.
You're like,
Press pop.
I called it, right? I just fucking nailed you in the nuts. And
Oh,
then you
Jesus.
couldn't continue because your balls are in your throat.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then me coming out and saying like, yeah, man, fucking that dude's a pussy.
Oh no.
That
Oh,
dude's a pussy,
man.
man. I told him I was gonna punch him in the nuts and I did it.
And I
and he
did it.
quit. Okay, how can he live with himself?
Yeah.
Oh God.
How
How can you
dare
go
you
to
be
sleep?
injured?
How can you call yourself a winner
Oh man.
It's
by
awful.
taking a DQ because I told you I was gonna punch you in the nuts and I did it, and then I got DQ'd for fucking doing it,
Yikes.
and afterwards you're fucking.
It's like the writing was on the wall and we all just chose to ignore it
Yeah.
up until we got uppercutted in the balls.
Another learning lesson for young fighters:
Yeah.
if you do something wrong, you don't even have to own up to it. Just disappear.
Yeah, just shut the
Let
fuck
people
up.
Shut the fuck up, yeah.
Let people
Honestly.
talk shit, and don't add fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And move on, because why? Fighting. I think a lot of fighters and people forget this. You're only as good as your last performance and your last whatever you did, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, right? I think people forget that. Even fighters forget that, and but they complain about that as well.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, you know, the sport is so like, what have you done lately? But then at the same time, like, you could use that to your advantage if
Yeah.
you do something wrong.
Right.
All right. Lessons learned. Class is over.